could accept the fact that the city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion. Biblical. What he means is Old Testament. Yeah, Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff. Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling. 4 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes. Dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Whoa. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Listen, I thought that we were talking about no new wars. No new wars. I thought that was what the whole thing was about, right? No new wars. No new wars and this, what is it, MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. And then that, wait a minute, that we were going to go through this glory, golden age of American whatever it was. I'm not sure what old Orange 47 was talking about. All I know is that I'm looking right now, and it seems to be that the conflict is intensifying. Iran warns that no border is safe. More Orange 47 death threats. What's going on here? Listen, all I'm trying to do is just enjoy my Saturday morning, listen to my cartoons, play with my action figures and dollies, and then, of course, I sit there and get this all across my desk right as we are about to go live. So listen, can we see what the heck is actually going on here? The conflict intensifies. You know, it's also intensifying in my gas prices. That's what's intensifying. You know, they were down for a little bit, then all of a sudden out of nowhere, they became worse. Yeah, no, that's exactly what's happening. So what is it? Updates. Fighting intensifies with strikes on critical infrastructure. So there's that's happening right now. What is going on here? So yeah, so we have more fighting. And of course, you know, all I want to do, oh my gosh, good grief, man. They talk about day drinking. How about morning drinking? Next thing you know, listen, you're going to be putting yourself in a really bad spot. You sit there and turning on all this first thing on a Saturday morning after you've had to listen to it. It's been across the news. You know what? Don't pay attention to the news. Don't do it. You know why? It's because it's all funded with special interests. Listening to the news is almost as bad. It might be even worse than listening to your local politician, because they're funded by special interests too. So, oh my gosh, good grief. The Iran conflict threatened to boil over Saturday after a senior Iranian advisor threatened a full-scale offensive operation if U.S. airstrikes didn't stop. So this has come from one of those military leaders over there after the United States finished the 7th day of airstrikes. If the strikes continue for several more days, we will move into a phase of full-scale offensive operations, is what the person said. Iran will no longer limit itself to retaliatory like-for-like responses, and no political border will be safe. So the two sides traded strikes, which targeted bridges and other infrastructure, with Iran striking water and desalination plants in Kuwait. And this is coming from CNN. Several American service members were injured in the attacks, is what CBS News is reporting here. So, and outlined the latest in conflict here on Saturday morning. Well, it's now Saturday afternoon. It is 12:20 here on the 18th day of July in the year 2026, setting the standard and raising the bar the only way a real award-winning media puppet knows how to do. From the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam NewsMan, giving you all, of course, the latest of what is happening. Kuwait is one of the countries that's recently been taking a hammering in these latest strikes overnight in the water. And like I said, the plants there were hit significant enough damage, and their government wanting to bring enough attention to it that their Minister of Electricity, Water, and Renewable Energies actually visited the site. Other serious and significant impacts reported by Kuwaiti authorities, saying that a site that significant damage was done to vital equipment at one of their main oil facilities. And this is going to have an impact on oil production capabilities. Like I was just saying, gas is going up again, and it's not helping. It's not helping at all. Another significant change overnight was that Iran escalating its strikes, trying to target two places in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia had not been hit up until now. So they were trying to hit, it appears to be a seaport in Yanbu. Is that how you say it? Yanbu? And that has been a red line for the Saudis in the past. It is their vital way of getting energy. Oil in and out of the rest of the world comes from that port and goes out to the Red Sea. So it's on the west coast of Saudi Arabia, but it appears that the Iranians are trying to strike an air base, Prince Sultan Air Base, where the U.S. military has, until very recently at least, had military operations out of. So now the Iranians are saying that water desalination plants there have been damaged, and that's now affecting a number of villagers. So listen, I thought that we had gotten past all this. I really did. I didn't think that I was going to have to sit there and come right out here out of the gate talking about what's going on in the world. But people sit there and they want to know the news. And who else to better get it from the most trusted puppet in media? Well, yeah, well, I mean, what? You're going to get it from the other local news sources when you know that they're bought and paid for? You're going to get it from your local congressperson, you know they're bought and paid for? Listen, there's no buying and paid for here. No, this is just all legitimate news and information coming from the most trusted puppet in media. Now, of course, you look over my shoulder here. Now, we do have the Sam cams are live, up and running. Let me just make sure I say that. The Sam cams are up and running, and we have those up and running on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Kick. That's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Kick. At Sam Newsman, all over social media is where you're going to find me. That's at Sam Newsman, all over social media is where you will find my beautiful puppet face that goes along with this, well, my beautiful puppet voice. People always ask, they say, well, Sam, can we see you? Well, the first hour of this radio show is just radio only. We chat with the professor. This morning we were chatting about anime, Japanese animation. There's an anime convention down in South Carolina this afternoon. Started already, I guess. The professor is going to be doing a panel down there talking about anime, Japanese animation. And what do you say? The voice of Goofy is going to be there? Right, the voice of Goofy. You know, nothing comes to mind. I mean, you know, nothing screams Japanese animation than the voice of Goofy, right? Right, yeah. So it's like, hey, the voice of Goofy is going to be here because that just screams anime when I think about it. Oh, yo, gosh. Oh, yo, gosh. Oh, hey, Mickey. Yeah. You know, that makes me think about giant robot mechs with machine guns and completely over-the-top violence that is involved with Japanese animation. Nothing screams that louder than oh, yo, gosh. So anyways, it is one of those mornings that we're going to have to sit there and try to get through. Hopefully that you've had a wonderful week up until all of a sudden these gas prices have just went out of control. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. See Kenzo's over there. Who else? Tripping with Toys has joined us. Sir Philosopher. You listened to Sir Philosopher before this show? Well, not before this show. Before this show is Saturday Morning Radio. And then before that show is Mixtapes. And before that show is Getting Lost with Art. But we do have the best shows anywhere on a Saturday morning. Speaking of best, like I said, you look over my shoulder, you see that? That is my plaque from last year where I did win the best morning radio show here in Richmond, Virginia by the readers of the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Now, many of you voted last year, and if you recall, there has been a lot of ways to vote in the past. You could vote on email, there was text to vote, and last year we had a number. You could text every single day. But you know what? This year, you know what happened is I got in contact with my people over there at the Richmond Times-Dispatch, and they said, you know what, Sam? And every year they've given me a discount. No, I'm serious. No, this is the truth. They've given me a discount every single year. And then this year, you know what they did? They said, well, Sam, we can't give you a discount this year. And I said, okay, well, what does that mean? And they said, well, that means that you're going to have to pay $400 for your text to vote number. I said, well, hold on. I said, record scratch. You know, what? What do you mean $400? And it took them a few days to get back to me because I sat there and I pushed back. And I said, well, wait a minute. As much money as I've been spending this whole pay to play thing over the last few years. We were the third place in 2023. We were second place in 2024. And then last year we were first place. That's this beautiful plaque over my shoulder that you see last year. But then this year they're like, yeah, $400, Sam. Now I have two shows that I'm doing. There's Sam Newsman Live, which is the afternoon show. So we're in the afternoon category this year. We made the top 5 for best afternoon show. And we made the top 5 for Saturday morning radio, which is the show before this. It's the radio only show. So we were both. So that, you know what that means? That would have meant $800, $400 for each show for the whole pay to play and do that whole text to vote thing. So I was like, you know what? Not this year. Not this year. I was like, no, you know what? Let's just pump the brakes. Let's pump the brakes for a little bit and say, hey, you know what? We're going to we're going to take a year off when it comes to really trying to go after this, even though we're in both categories. And it'd be really cool to place in the top 3 for both categories. So all this means is that you can still vote. You can still vote. And you're probably wondering, well, Sam, where can we vote? tinyurl.com/radiosam2026. That's tinyurl.com/radiosam2026. That's where you're going to go and vote. And you have to vote by using your email. And now here's what's really cool about this. Do you have multiple emails? Of course you do. We all have multiple emails. I think about 10 of them. I have 10 of them myself. So you know what that means? That means that you need to take every one of those emails and vote every single day. Yeah, vote every single day with as many emails as you got. I don't care how many they are, your work email, your family email, your personal email, your secret email. We know that you have them. We know that you have all of them. So just go to that website, tinyurl.com/radiosam2026. Next week, I'll have a banner up rolling during the show. I forgot to make a banner. We had the banner up last year. So we'll have a banner going up. But like I said, just follow me on social media. If you're following me on Instagram, if you're following me on Instagram, there is a link there that where you can go and you can vote. So, and what you do is you go to that website. If you go to the website, you see a bunch of different categories. You're going to click on entertainment. And then the entertainment category is where you're going to scroll down. You'll see me for best afternoon radio show. And then you scroll down, you'll see Saturday morning radio for best morning radio show. You'll see the call letters of the station, WDCE. WDCE is in both of them. So just vote. Just think about it this way. Vote WDCE for both morning and afternoon radio shows. That way, then you'll know that you're voting for me. You're voting for our shows that we do here on Saturday mornings and Saturday afternoon, because it is, like I said, it is 12:30 now here on the 18th day of July in the year 2026. So that's what you're going to do. And like I said, I'll give you one. I'll remind you here when we get out of here in about 15 minutes. Not too long of a show today. Just wanted to come on here, and it's been, like I said, it's crazy because I had no real intentions to come in here and talk about current events. Because I've been trying to be all friendly with being uplifting and talking about the good news and what's happening, and it's all roses. But let's not kid ourselves. It's not all roses. And it's just so, if you know. Isn't that what it is? If you know, hashtag if you know. They just use the letters for that. But, oh my gosh. So anyways, as I'm looking through the different things that is going on, so that is happening. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, well, here's some good news. The red wolf. Are you familiar with the red wolf? Well, the red wolf was on the verge of extinction. So if we're going to say some bad news, let's say some good news. North Carolina. Now, this is just south of us here in Richmond, Virginia. Down in North Carolina, the births of red wolves, which were once nearly wiped out, there's been a sprawling baby boom of red wolves. So, and like I said, it was nearly extinct. 24 red wolf pups were born in the wild this spring in eastern North Carolina, giving a remarkable boost to one of the most endangered species on the planet. See, like I said, we were starting off with talking about Iran and our ridiculous gas prices and, oh yeah, no new wars, but, things are blowing up all over the place. But we do need to have some good news. So this is great news that we do have an almost endangered, almost an extinct species that is now coming back just south of us here in Virginia, in North Carolina. It's inspiring to see these underdogs making another incredible comeback, said the Southeast Director for the Center of Biological Diversity. The 23 pups born in the wild this year marked the most since 2023. 2013. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, it's been 13 years since they've had that many that were born. While not all the pups ultimately survived, their arrival briefly doubled the number of red wolves living on the landscape. There are only 22 known adult or adolescent red wolves living on or near the Alligator River and Pocosin Lakes National Wildlife Refuge. Well, you know what? If you want to do something smart, old red wolves, why don't you go to a place that's not called Alligator River? Don't birth your pups next to a place called Alligator River. Now, I'm not sure if there's alligators in it, but I don't know why you would name it Alligator River if there's not alligators around. You might be less extinct if you're birthing your pups a little bit further away from Alligator River. But who's to say that's just a name? It's all in a name. But that name, that's what I think about as soon as I read that. Now, let's see here. According to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, which oversee the decades-long effort to restore a native animal that once roamed widely throughout the southeastern United States, the number of wild adult red wolves has dipped perilously into the single digits in the not-so-distant past, but the modest population growth of recent years remains far below the number needed for red wolves to sustain themselves over time. So we are not out of the clear yet, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to these red wolves. But that's what makes this year's births a joyous and encouraging moment for those invested in resurrecting a species that has long stood on the brink of extinction. So this is such a huge improvement over the disastrous years of 2019 to 2021, when no new pups were born in the wild at all for about 4 years straight, and a trend that was rapidly becoming a death knell for the species, that they only typically live for about 3 to 6 years in the wild. But federal officials said 4 litters of red wolf pups were born to breeding pairs in the wild earlier this spring. Some died early on. Survival of red wolf pups in the wild is typically around 50%, but a significant number of them do remain. So that is exciting. The push to save red wolves in the wild has experienced dramatic ups and downs over the past 4 decades in North Carolina's Albemarle Peninsula, with its massive swamp forest, farmlands, and marshes. So, well, like I said, swamplands and marshes, if there's alligators around, you don't want to sit there and be birthing a bunch of wolves, baby wolves, close to alligators. That would not be good. Vintage Toy Plug, shout out to Vintage Toy Plug. See them over there. I haven't seen you around for a while, sir. So I hope you're doing well. Anytime you want to get some GI Joes, just go visit Vintage Toy Plugs. The best selection of GI Joes on Instagram. That's at Vintage Toy Plugs. So shout out to you, sir. Good seeing you here. Big M as well is here in the show. Let's see here. Ash Bailey, shout out to you. Let's see, a couple other people. Oh, Mary Murr. Mary Murr actually had a birthday yesterday. So it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Mary Murr. Always first, always joining us first. She is the #1 fan. So that's her claim to fame. She's the #1 fan because she's always first. So, and sometimes I get a little note here that before the show, which is always great. As well. Shout out White Vegeta. Listen, if you're coming in here on the as you're texting along the show, so we only got a couple more minutes while we're here, but as I see you guys pop in, I'll give you a shout out if I can read your name. But I'll always thank all of you guys for listening and being a part of the program. And make sure you tell all your friends to vote. Vote for what? Vote for me. vote for me for the best local morning radio show and best afternoon radio show. You're going to vote for me, Sam Newsman, WDCE, for best afternoon radio show. You're going to vote Saturday Morning Radio for best morning radio show. That is tinyurl.com/RadioSam2026. That's tinyurl.com/RadioSam2026. So there is some good news going around, and so that's really great. The World Cup is tonight. That's I don't really care about that. You know what they call soccer players? You know what they call soccer players, right? You don't know? Field fairies. That's what they are. They're field fairies, all flopping around all over the place, trying to get a call, trying to get a red card, an orange card, a yellow card, a blue card. I don't know what. A bunch of cards thrown by the refs. I don't know. Listen, I'm not a big soccer person. That doesn't mean I won't watch it, though. I'll have what is that, tomorrow night? It's not tonight. It's tomorrow night, I think. See, I don't know. Anyways, but that's coming up, this weekend. So that's something that's good. Did you see all this, that all the smoke that was going around? So there's these fires in Canada that have been, and the smoke has just been drifting along, and it's covered pretty much the entire eastern seaboard. Yesterday was really bad. Today is not as bad, but they were calling it a code red and then a code purple. And I was talking to Sir Philosopher before the show, and he said, man, well, next thing you know, they're going to call it a code black. Like, nobody go outside at all. But they were telling people not to go outside at all anyways. And here he was going around, picking beans in his old backyard, garden there. Didn't even realize he wasn't even supposed to be outside. But hey, listen, at least he's out there picking the beans, in his garden. I'm sure that the family appreciated his sacrifice. So tip of the cap to Sir Philosopher and his sacrifice of bean picking yesterday in his backyard garden. So that's always nice. Let's see here. Do we have anything else that is across the desk that I'm looking at? No, I don't want to go over that. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk about that. Here you go. This one. How about this? This is a good one. We'll end this. We'll end with this, and then I got a couple of bad dad jokes for you. Cut the number of choices you make each day. Your brain will thank you. Jeans that fit perfectly. The ideal Netflix show for a random Tuesday night. Your one and only soulmate. Modern life promises that with enough options, you will happily find the best of everything. But behavioral scientists say the increasing flood of choices, whether it comes to shopping, social lives, relationships, is doing the opposite. The idea that more choice is better is baked into Western culture, but research shows that having more options can make people anxious, indecisive, and paradoxically less happy with what they pick. So now there's been hundreds of studies showing that there can be too much of a good thing, said a university professor. And to minimize the mental noise, he said, limit the number of choices you make and your brain will thank you for it. So more is often more confusing. So people in states with more choices will less likely choose any of them. Same goes for 401k investments. The more options a company had, the less likely employees were to sign up, even when the employer offered matching money. So less consequential choices are no different. Showed shoppers at a gourmet grocery store bought more jars of jam when they were presented with 6 flavors rather than with a wider array of 24. In a follow-up study, students were more likely to complete an extra credit assignment when they were given 6 topics to choose instead of 30. So they only give you 6 choices as opposed to 30. The students would sit there and say, okay, well, now I'm actually going to do the extra credit. So the research expanded on those findings to learn the emotional responses to this phenomenon. So instead of being liberated by all this choice, you're paralyzed. You can do anything, and you can't figure out which of those many things to do. So people often end up making worse decisions since more options suggest more potentially bad outcomes. The old butterfly effect, I guess. And once someone finally decides from all the possibilities, They may be less satisfied with even a good choice because they fear there was a better alternative. Don't want to live in fear, ladies and gentlemen. So people who are maximizers especially suffer from this proliferation of options. And the tendency isn't true for all people in all situations, he says. Car buffs will gladly dive into the details of nearly unlimited choice when buying a new one. But you don't feel that way when it comes to buying jam. So the brain doesn't like making decisions. So this is coming out of the University of Virginia. Professor of neuroscience said the phenomenon occurs because the brain is designed to save people from having to think. Well, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Problem solving requires more energy than relying on memory, a fact that has its roots in evolutionary survival mode. When faced with a goal, whether it be an immediate need, like responding to a threat, or something longer term, like finding shelter, the mind first searches for what's worked before. The problem-solving part of the brain only kicks in afterwards. Another way to put it is that if you're thinking, things are not going well. So don't think, just do. This explains why some people move through parts of their day on autopilot. Throughout the day, people are confronted with hundreds of situations where they could do something different, but they almost always take the same route to and from work. So the proliferation of choices also has become tangled with identity in the social media age, where everyone can easily compare their choices to others. You know, the last thing you want to do is compare. The only person you need to compare yourself with is yourself from the day before. Don't compare yourself to others, and always just sit there and look at, well, hey, you know what? This is what I did yesterday. How can I be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday? The only person you're in competition with is yourself. So remember that. So don't overthink it when it comes to any of that. Limit your choices and move on. So that's kind of what it all boils down to. When I find out that when I find out that does that, find one that does that, I'm buying it instead of reading all the reviews and getting sucked into this never-ending hole, is what one professor said. So for larger decisions like financial planning, you'll be happier if you rely on someone else's professional expertise. So if you're thinking, well, I'm a clever guy, I can figure it all out, 9 times out of 10, you are fooling yourself. So the professor also acknowledged that for people who have trouble making decisions, changing is difficult, but it's worth it in the long run. What happens over time is you find it easier to make decisions. You end up more satisfied with the decisions that you make, and all of a sudden, you got an extra 2 hours in every day. So that's something to learn with, and that's one to learn with as we close out the show today. Now I have two jokes. I have 2 bad dad jokes that I want to get to, and then we'll get out of here for the day. All right, so here we go. Because I want to get out of here real quick. So, what? Here we go. Why can't you fart in an Apple store? Right? Why can't you fart in an Apple store? Anybody? Why can't you fart in an Apple store? Nobody knows? Because they don't have windows. Oh, man. That's great. Because they don't have windows. Yeah, that's why you can't fart in an Apple store. They don't have windows. Okay, all right, one more, and then we'll get out of here. What do you call a sorry. I can't even say that. They'd say the joke. What do you call a really fat psychic? Anybody know? What do you call a really fat psychic? Oh, come on. I know you guys can get this one, right? What do you call a really fat psychic? Anybody? Nobody? A fortune teller. A fortune teller. Oh, my gosh. You guys should have got that one. I thought that was pretty easy. A fortune teller. Oh, man. That's fantastic. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to get out of here. At Sam Newsman all over social media is where you're going to find me. That's at Sam Newsman all over social media. tinyurl.com/radiosam2026. That's tinyurl.com/radiosam2026. Make sure you vote for WDCE. Vote for WDCE for Best Afternoon Radio Show. That's me, Sam Newsman. And vote for WDCE. That's Saturday Morning Radio for Best Morning Show. It'd be really nice if we can get in the top 3. We can do that with all your help. You can vote every single day with every email that you got from now until August the 2nd. So if you have multiple emails, you know what to do. And we'll be back next week, of course, as we continue our journey through all of this. So with that being said, oh, that Game of Thrones is what they play. A house of cards just day by day. Voters losing every way. It's just like I always say. Oh, it's sideshow infotainment, politicians and news anchors, and talking points that make my eardrums bleed. The most trusted puppet in media is me. Reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman.